something is definitely brewing in Los Angeles. And if the Lakers play their cards right, they might just reshape the entire way NBA teams handle development, scouting, and international recruitment. For years, the Lakers have operated under the shadow of their own history. The banners, the superstars, the Hollywood lights. But in the modern NBA, legacy alone isn't enough. The league is shifting, and teams that fail to adapt will get left behind. The new collective bargaining agreement is designed to limit super teams and encourage homegrown talent. So, if you can't just buy your way to a championship anymore, what do? You build from the inside out. And that's where the Lakers have a real chance to separate themselves, especially now that Mark Walter is in the picture. Walter isn't just another rich guy with a stake in a franchise. He's the kind of owner who thinks long-term, who's willing to invest in the infrastructure that actually makes a difference. Think training staff, G League programs, development pipelines, performance departments, dietary experts, full medical support, and more importantly, scouting on a global scale. This is the kind of money and vision that can turn a good organization into a great one, not just by throwing cash at big-name free agents, but by creating a system where talent flourishes regardless of draft position or background. Now, let's talk about something that really exposed a weakness in the Lakers' current system, the Alex Caruso situation. Caruso wasn't a superstar, but he was the kind of gritty, high IQ role player every title team needs. He wanted to stay in LA. He even offered to take a discount. And what happened? The Lakers let him walk because they didn't want to match a relatively modest offer. That decision wasn't about basketball. It was about money. But here's the thing. With someone like Mark Walter leading the way, that sort of move might not happen again. If a player is worth keeping, they'll get paid. Period. That's the kind of shift that could be huge moving forward, and it speaks to a larger point. This team needs to stop cutting corners on the foundational stuff. One of the biggest missed opportunities for the Lakers in recent years has been in the area of pro scouting. And we're not talking about college prospects or overseas draft hopefuls. We're talking about evaluating NBA talent that's already in the league. There are guys floating around every season who could have helped the Lakers, but instead, they take flyers on names, not fits. They fall in love with what a guy did on another team, in another system, and then act shocked when it doesn't translate in purple and gold. Think about Kendrick Nunn. Think about Malik Beasley. These aren't bad players, but they weren't great fits either. A lot of that comes down to the lack of a true pro scouting department that's doing deep, objective evaluations. Not just YouTube highlight reels or checking box scores. Actual film breakdowns, understanding context, seeing how a guy's skill set complements or clashes with the current roster. Now, imagine how many mistakes could be avoided with a strong pro scouting team in place. Guys like Chandler Parsons got massive deals offshore hot streaks. Teams fell for the flash, not the substance. And the Lakers have done that too. But in a league where roster mistakes can cripple your flexibility for years, you need to minimize those risks as much as possible. A professional scouting department that focuses strictly on NBA players would go a long way toward fixing that. But here's where it gets even more interesting, the international angle. Right now, the Lakers have some overseas scouting capabilities. Every team does, but it's usually tied to the draft, not necessarily looking for pro-ready talent flying under the radar in international leagues. And this is where teams like the Spurs have had an edge for years. San Antonio has built its entire identity around finding those hidden gems in places no one else is looking. They're not just waiting for the next big name out of Europe. They're doing the deep dive. They're finding that 22-year-old who's not getting starter minutes, playing a random league most fans have never heard of, but who has the tools to be molded into something special. The Lakers should be all over this. Why not build out an entire department based in Europe? Not just a couple of scouts traveling from city to city, but a full-on infrastructure. Hire locals who understand the leagues, the language, the lifestyle. Let them build relationships. Find those talents before anyone else does. You find even one or two of those guys every few years, and it can change everything. Think about how many players are out there right now, raw, undervalued, just needing structure and development. With the Lakers' resources, that kid doesn't just get noticed, he gets brought in, coached up, and integrated into the system. Look at what happened with Gershon Yabusel. A guy who looked like he was out of the league after a failed stint with the Celtics suddenly has a breakout run with France and plays himself back into relevance. He's not the only one. There are dozens, maybe hundreds of players like that, scattered across the globe. The problem is, most teams don't have the tools or patience to find and develop them. But the Lakers could, and with Walter's financial backing, they actually might. It's not about randomly signing guys off a YouTube mixtape or chasing hype. It's about dedicating serious resources, building trust, and establishing a presence in these international markets. Send a team out there. Make it their full-time job. Pay them well, give them a home base, and tell them to go find the next big thing. Create pipelines, not just for prospects, but for professionals who can step into a role with the right development plan in place. With the NBA pushing for more global integration, this is where the league is heading anyway. And if the Lakers want to be at the forefront, not chasing trends but setting them, they need to go all in. The current two-way contract system is a start, but it's not enough. Imagine a world where teams are allowed additional two-way spots specifically for international talent. A structure where you can carry, say, 6 two-way players, 3 domestic and 3 international. That opens up the door for real global development without compromising main roster space. Why not be the first team to push for something like that? Use your influence, use your brand. Be the franchise that every talented overseas player dreams of joining. Not just because of the history, but because you're actually offering them a path. The Lakers brand is global already. Imagine if the infrastructure matched the name. Imagine if young kids in Europe or Asia or South America didn't just want to watch the Lakers, but wanted to become Lakers because they knew the team was investing in their part of the world. That's how you change the game. That's how you future-proof your franchise. And here's the kicker. This isn't just good PR or long-term thinking. It could have immediate on-court results. You bring in a 6'10" forward who can shoot, handle the ball, and defend. Maybe he's raw. Maybe he's unpolished. But under the right program, he becomes your 6th man in 2 years. Maybe he becomes your starter in 3. And you signed him for practically nothing because you saw something before anyone else did. That's value. That's how you win in today's NBA. Even in the short term, expanding the scouting department could improve how the Lakers handle trades and free agency. You no longer have to rely on secondhand buzz or last season's numbers. You know exactly who fits and who doesn't before the deal is even made. And that goes for foreign leagues too. You're not just asking, is this guy good? You're asking, is he good for us? That distinction is what separates the smart front offices from the desperate ones. The draft department, to their credit, has been excellent. The Lakers have found real talent late in the draft and even in the undrafted pool. So leave that department untouched. Let them keep doing what they're doing. But build around it. Create new lanes. The draft team handles prospects. The pro scouting team handles NBA veterans. And the international team? They handle everything overseas, from developmental players to pro-ready options. You're building a complete talent acquisition ecosystem. And once you start thinking that way, it opens up a world of possibilities for what the Lakers can become over the next decade. We're not just talking about staying competitive. We're talking about building something sustainable, something that allows the team to reload instead of rebuild. The Lakers have already shown they can draft well. They've shown they can develop talent when they put the effort into it, but they've never truly committed to building out every layer of a modern basketball operation. That's what separates great organization from the ones that simply ride legacy. The NBA has evolved. It's not just about who can land the biggest free agent anymore. It's about who can build the deepest infrastructure, the smartest front office, and the most effective talent pipeline. Think about the way teams like the Miami Heat have squeezed the most out of undrafted players, guys that no one was paying attention to. That's not luck. That's infrastructure. That's having a system in place that allows guys to develop into rotation pieces or even starters because every level of the organization is aligned. Scouting, development, coaching, it's all connected. And if the Lakers can start to replicate that, but with their own twist, their own resources, and their own global brand power, they could dominate in ways we haven't seen since the early 2000s. But to do that, The organization needs to move past surface-level changes. It's not enough to make a few tweaks and hope it works. You need a philosophy. You need to be intentional. You need to ask the tough questions. Why are we missing on so many free agent signings? Why are certain trades not panning out? Why are we letting guys like Caruso walk out the door when they're willing to stay? These aren't just unfortunate circumstances. They're signs of an organizational gap, a lack of deep-level evaluation. And the only way to fix that is by investing in the departments that help prevent those mistakes in the first place. The biggest problem in today's NBA isn't necessarily talent evaluation, it's context evaluation. A player might look like a superstar in one system and become a non-factor in another. That's where real scouting comes in. You have to look at a guy and not just say he averaged 16 points a game, but instead ask, how did he get those points? What was his role? What kind of spacing was he working with? How many touches did he get? It's not just about the numbers. It's about the how and the why. And without a strong scouting network, you're guessing. You're playing a high-stakes game based on assumptions. The Lakers don't have to keep making those guesses. They have the money. They have the connections. They have the platform to build something truly elite. Imagine an off-season where, instead of chasing the same big names every other team is going after, the Lakers quietly scoop up 2 international players that no one's heard of. But by the time January rolls around, everyone in the league is wondering how they missed them. That's what a foreign department could unlock. That's what dedicated international resources could provide. The gems are out there. Not everyone has to be Luka Doncic or Giannis Antetokounmpo to be impactful. Sometimes it's the role players that change your season. The defensive stopper, a secondary playmaker, the guy who can come in and knock down threes and guard multiple positions. You find just a couple of those guys, and suddenly your team's ceiling skyrockets. And this isn't just about young guys, either. There are veterans overseas, guys in their mid-20s, even early 30s, who are better than half the players on NBA benches. But because they didn't come through the traditional college or G League pipeline, they get overlooked. A proper international scouting team would find those guys. They'd evaluate them properly, bring them in on team-friendly deals, and turn what used to be a missed opportunity into a competitive advantage. The Lakers have every reason to be the team leading that charge. With Mark Walter willing to spend, the only thing stopping them is vision. And let's be honest, being first matters. We're the first team to really invest in an international infrastructure. You build relationships that last. Agents remember. Players remember. Families remember. So when the next big European talent starts looking at NBA options, who's he going to trust more? The team that checked in once or twice before the draft, or the one that had a dedicated presence in his country for years? That long-term investment builds credibility. And credibility is everything in talent acquisition. Right now, the league is slowly moving in that direction. You're seeing more and more international players being drafted. You're seeing more success stories from outside the U.S. But it still hasn't hit that tipping point where most teams are building out full departments dedicated to that lane. The Lakers could get there first. And if they do, it won't just benefit them now. It'll benefit them for decades. Because you're not just finding players, you're creating a reputation. You're becoming the franchise that international talent wants to work with. You're setting the standard. And let's circle back to development for a second, because that's the glue that holds all of this together. Drafting and scouting only matter if you can actually turn potential into production. That means facilities, trainers, psychologists, nutritionists, skill coaches, the whole package. You need an environment where a young player walks in and immediately feels like he's in the best possible place to grow. And that goes for foreign players too. If you're asking a kid to move halfway across the world, away from everything he's ever known, you better give him the tools to succeed. That means language support, cultural adjustment help, personalized development plans, all of it. You build that reputation, and word gets around fast. Before we continue, we ask that you leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any exclusive Lakers updates. Moving on, the NBA world is buzzing with whispers that could shake the league to its very core. Sources close to the matter are hinting at an earth-shattering move. Giannis Antetokounmpo, the Milwaukee Bucks' unstoppable force and two-time MVP, might be packing his bags for Los Angeles. Yes, You read that right. The Greek Freak could be heading west to don the iconic purple and gold of the Lakers. While nothing has been officially confirmed, insiders suggest that discussions have been quietly ongoing for weeks. Imagine the Lakers' star-studded lineup with LeBron James and Anthony Davis finally joined by one of the most dominant players of the decade. The mere thought has sent fans into a frenzy, with speculation heating up across social media platforms and sports talk shows alike. Lakers supporters are reportedly already dreaming of a championship run that could rival even the dynasty of the early 2000s, while Bucks fans are nervously bracing themselves for what would be a seismic shift in the league's balance of power. Financial details remain murky, but sources indicate that the Lakers are exploring a mega contract offer designed to lure Giannis out of Milwaukee. The Bucks, meanwhile, are said to be preparing contingency plans, evaluating potential trades or draft strategies should the unthinkable happen. The NBA's rumor mill has never been hotter, with every reported meeting, dinner, and text message scrutinized for signs that a blockbuster deal might be imminent. Skeptics caution that such a move, while tantalizing, is far from guaranteed. Giannis has deep ties to Milwaukee, a city that embraced him from the moment he stepped onto the NBA stage. Yet the allure of Los Angeles, with its championship pedigree, celebrity culture, and massive market, could prove irresistible. If the deal goes through, it would not only alter the Lakers' fortunes, but also rewrite the narrative of the league for years to come. For now, the whispers continue, growing louder with each passing day. Will Giannis swap the Bucks green and cream for the Lakers purple and gold? Only time will tell, but one thing is certain. The NBA offseason just got a lot more interesting. Stay informed exclusively about Los Angeles Lakers news. Subscribe to our channel and hit the like button to keep receiving daily updates. Also, share your opinion on the news in the comments, as your contribution is crucial for the Lakers. Stay tuned for the next video.